severity.
All right, good morning. I'm going to turn things over this morning to our Crimes Against Persons Lieutenant.
Morning. I'm Lieutenant Nick Butler, B-U-T-L-E-R. I'm the lieutenant for the Crimes Against Persons section of our Detective Bureau for the Sioux Falls Police Department. I'm going to talk just a little bit about homicide that occurred early yesterday morning. So at around 5:24 on the 30th, Sunday the 30th, officers responded to an apartment building in the 500 block of West 9th Street for reported stabbing. When officers arrived on scene, they found a male, 37 years old, Sioux Falls resident, in the hallway of the apartment building. Life-saving efforts were attempted, however, that subject did end up dying from the wounds that he had suffered. An adjacent apartment, we also located a 46-year-old female who had serious injuries, again, that were consistent with being stabbed and cut with a sharp object. She's still hospitalized, but her injuries are not believed to be life-threatening at this time. Detectives worked through the evening, through the day and into the evening, and were able to determine that a suspect by the name of Isaiah Rain Dubray, 10/20 of 1998, was potentially and likely involved with this assault on these two people. A $1 million cash warrant was issued for Mr. Dubray, and around 1:29 this morning, Monday morning, Mr. Dubray was located in the 300 block of South Prairie, and he was arrested without incident. Mr. Dubray has been lodged at the Minnehaha County Jail on several charges, including murder first, murder second, and several counts of aggravated assault. Any questions about that?
Did you guys find a weapon?
The weapons have been located, yes. Yep.
Was it a knife?
Knives, yes. Yep.
Knives, okay. The victim, according to some court documents, said something to a witness. Can you go over that?
Which victim are you referring to?
The stabbing victim, the deceased. Apparently it said something to a witness.
He made mention to a witness that indicating a name that was possibly involved with the assault, and that was part of what helped us led us to Mr. Dubray as a suspect.
So they were known?
They're known to each other, yes.
And same with the 46-year-old?
Correct. All acquaintances.
Do we know why the stabbing happened?
We don't. We're still working on it, as with many of these homicide investigations. The investigation doesn't end once suspect is arrested. So our detectives still have a lot of work to do, and hopefully we can get the answers.
How long did it take to get the suspect into custody?
I believe from the time that we figured out where he was, about 30 minutes, we had him in custody.
Any names on victims at this time?
If Sam wants to share that, I'll let him share that afterwards.
Is there notification made?
That was still, I'll have to double check on that.
So we'll
Yeah.
probably tomorrow.
Multiple stab wounds?
Multiple stab wounds to both subjects. Any other questions on that one? All right, before I let you go, I just wanted to remind you, we do still have two homicides that are unsolved, Tunis Lomax and Paul Billion. And I just want to take this opportunity to reach out. You know, we had a real quick turnaround on this homicide, and that's, we owe a lot of that to the hard work of the detectives and the case, and we also owe that to the cooperation from a lot of people within the community. And we're still working very hard every single day on the two open homicides, and we know there are people out in the community that have information on those homicides, and we would continue to ask that if you're one of those people, that you reach out to the police department, reach out to Crime Stoppers, and help us bring a conclusion to those two homicides and some closure to those families as well.
Is there a concern about the number of homicides we've seen this year?
We're concerned about every homicide, whether it's one homicide or 10 or 5 or 6. Of course, we're concerned about every single one of those. And We're going to work hard on every single one to make sure that we get those solved as quickly as possible. And we're going to put the same amount of effort into to making sure we get justice for each victim in every single case.
What kind of a criminal record does Isaiah Dubray have?
Mr. Dubray does have a criminal record. I don't have the specifics on that for you right now. All right, I'll turn it back over to Sam. Thanks.
Okay, let's start with the aggravated assaults. Got quite a few domestics that were in there, some other people that were threatened with different objects. We did have some gunshots that happened. This was early Sunday. This was around 2 well, it was probably closer to 2:30 a.m. This was in 300 block of Northwest Avenue near 6th Street and West Avenue. There was a large group of people. I think there had been some type of party or something, and all these people kind of spilled outside, and we had an officer that happened to be in the area monitoring the crowd. Excuse me. And as he was kind of monitoring that, he heard several gunshots. There was kind of a pause and a bunch more gunshots, and then people took off running. There were 14 shell casings found. We didn't have any reports of any injury, didn't find any damage to any vehicles or buildings for that matter. So still working on that. Nobody seemed to have any idea who the person was that fired the gun, but we're still looking into that. The few assaults listed there are domestics. Burglaries are just reports, houses and business. Nothing big from the disorderlies. A lot of there's some phone calls and then just general disorderly reports. Family disputes and offenses are all reports. Nothing big from the frauds. The larcenies, the only thing out of that, we had 3 different reports of people that had guns stolen from unlocked cars. I'd like to say this is a rare occurrence, but it's something that we still see from time to time. 2 of them they believe happened overnight, so this would have been Saturday night. One was Thursday night into Friday. The other was Saturday night into Sunday. One of them, the owner hadn't seen the gun for a few months, so they have no idea when that gun was stolen. And nothing concentrated in one area. They were all over the place. Sex offense was a report. Simple assaults, a lot of domestics from there. Nothing suspicious with the unattended deaths. The vandalisms, a lot of cars and houses that were damaged. We did have somebody, looks like they were probably trying to steal an ATM from a bank near Arrowhead Parkway in Sycamore. They were able to get some door open, but weren't able to access it, and it stayed in the anchors. So no arrests on that. We're still looking into that one. And the weapons violation, the first one, that was at 18th and Cleveland. Somebody fired a gun and it shot the building. We had a guy that found his camper had been shot, and the last one was a couple of gunshots that were heard. That was in the 700 block of North Cleveland, and that was Friday night. Didn't have any reports of injury on that one. Didn't find anything that had been damaged. And that one, there was 1 shell casing that was found. I think that's it. Oh, you know what? Sorry, something wasn't adding up right. That one at 6th and West, the gunshots, that was a car and a building were shot on that one. Were found after the fact. Sorry, I said there was nothing, and I missed that on my notes here. But again, no injuries were reported at all. That's all I have, unless you guys have anything else.
On October 28th, around 21:30, Circle K, West 41st Street. Male subject armed with a knife, possibly related to a burglary in the area?
No, it wasn't a burglary. There really wasn't. I think that ended up being like an obstruction charge or just disorderly conduct. But the guy was inside a store, and there may have been an attempt to try to shoplift something, but it was prevented by the clerk. He was outside, our suspect was outside and basically walking back and forth with a knife. Didn't directly threaten anybody. The officers got there and ended up arresting him. And I think the charges were just minor misdemeanor charges, but Yeah, it was disorderly conduct, fleeing, obstruction, resisting arrest, and then intentional damage to property. So no threats, no assault charges related to that.
And can you go over that one that I asked you?
Which one was that?
The Remedy Brewery?
So that, yeah, that was one of the assaults. It was basically a person that was pushed. This was in the 400 block of East 8th Street. And this was Sunday morning, just after midnight. And somebody was on a landing, and then another person pushed them, and they fell off the landing. So we haven't found that person. We know who that suspect is, and the victim was taken to the hospital, and I don't have an update on any condition. It doesn't seem... maybe some head trauma is what it says, but it doesn't specify anything like that.
How old was the victim?
The victim is... Victim's 27 from Rapid City. Anything else? Okay, thanks.